Bhagavad Gita 9.23 Yepyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya vidhipurvakam. Yepyanya devata bhakta, those who are worshipping other gods, yajante shraddhayanvitaha, they worship them with faith. Tepi mameva kaunteya, they are also worshipping me. Yajantya vidhipurvakam. There are many significant points in this verse which need to be carefully understood to appreciate what Krishna is stating over here. Those who worship other gods, they are also worshipping me, but they are doing it in an unauthorized way, avidhipurvaka. So, in the Western or Middle Eastern monotheisms, that is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, there is the idea of the one true God, whose glory is established by demolishing and desecrating all other gods who are considered to be false. Thou shalt have no other god apart from me, before me. Thou shalt not bow. That means they say that other gods are false gods. If you want to be truly devoted to me, you should worship only me. This conception leads to violence against those religions that are perceived as polytheistic. So that includes the Greco-Roman religions that preceded Christianity and the Sanatana Dharma, which is exceeded in the eastern part of the world for far more time than Christianity. So there, the idea is that if you worship the true God, if you worship any false god, then you are no longer worshipping the true God. But here, Krishna is giving a balance. He's stating that those who worship the other gods are also worshipping him. Tepi mameva kaunteya, they are also worshipping me. Some people stress only this one half, that they are worshipping only, they are also worshipping me. And by this they conclude that actually there is nothing at all wrong or inappropriate about demigod worship. And there are some who ejanta vidhipurvakam, avidhipurvakam. It's unauthorized. They focus only on this part and they totally condemn demigod worship. So both are extremes which focus on only a part of scripture and don't understand the whole picture. So at one level, Krishna is saying that even those who worship devatas worship him. Akashat patitam toyam yatha sagaram gacchati sarvadeva namaskara. Achyutam padishati. So that just as the drop of water which falls from the ocean, from the sky, goes gradually to the ocean, similarly, Sarvadeva Namaskaram, Namaskaram, Achyutam Patigachyati. The offering of obeisances to the various devatas goes to Achyuta. So they say that whichever god you want to worship, you can worship. Now, firstly, Krishna is not here endorsing the idea that all gods are one, or even that all gods are manifestations of the one absolute truth. No, none of these conceptions are supported because we see here that Krishna uses the clearly dualist terminology Anya Devata and Mam. That means there are other gods and there is me. So Krishna is not saying that those other gods are me only. So the henotheistic idea, henotheism is the belief system that there is one absolute truth who manifests in as many gods. And catenotheism is the idea that we can worship whichever god we want, or even whichever form we want, such as a tree, if that's what helps us to calm down, to focus, and to move onwards. So, this idea makes the concept and notion of divinity something like a flag, wherein whichever piece of cloth, whatever color, composition invokes national sentiment, that can be made by the nation into a flag. And with the change of political power or change of national mindset, the flag can also be changed. So the divinity is not like that. Krishna is the eternal absolute truth. And how then is it that worshipping Devatas is worshipping him? It is indirect because ultimately he has set up the system of demigod worship for the gradual elevation of people. Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Bengal, at that time, once he was asked that who is better, a Christian worshipping God or a person in India worshipping a demigod? Prabhupada replied that the demigod worshipper is better because they are in the house of the Vedas. Now, of course, this is not necessarily a universal statement, because we'll have to see what mode, what level of consciousness the person worshipping the demigod is, and similarly, what mode and what level of consciousness the Christian is. But broadly speaking, a person who is in the house of the Vedas, that person will have lesser cultural and conceptual barriers to cross to come over from demigod worship to Krishna worship, as compared to coming to the understanding of worshipping the deity and a personal conception of God who manifests as divinity, as embodied divinity in this world. That this conception will be very difficult to except for those in the Abrahamic traditions. So it is, the scriptures have come from Krishna, and the scriptures are meant to take people gradually towards Krishna. Vedaischa sarvairahameva vedyo. So in that sense, the scriptures are teaching worship of the Devatas, that is also indirectly worship of Krishna, because they are following the scriptures ultimately coming from Krishna when they are worshipping the Devatas. Then why is it avidhi purvakam? If it is given in vidhi, if it is given in scripture, then why is it avidhi purvakam? It is something like karma kanda. Karma kanda is given in scripture, and in that sense it is a part of vidhi. Vidhi is the ordained directions given in scripture, but it is not in accordance with the highest conclusion of scriptures, which we will see Krishna will tell at the end of the Bhagavad Gita when he says sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Give up all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. So here both the ideas that worshipping other gods is unfaithful to the supreme God Krishna, as is taught in the Abrahamic traditions, that is not exactly supported. because Krishna says they are also worshipping me, but they are doing it indirectly and inappropriately. But at the same time, considering that worshipping the gods is perfectly alright, that is also not correct, because the as was mentioned in the 7th chapter, and it was mentioned here also before 9.20 to 22, that worship of Krishna gives eternal results, where the worship of Devatas gives temporary results. So therefore, this is a very important verse which presents a balance between the conception of monotheism that is there in the Abrahamic traditions and the conception of polytheism that is often imputed on the Sanatana Dharma tradition. This is, we could say, multi-level monotheism, wherein the one supreme absolute truth can be worshipped in different ways through his different manifestations in a process of gradual elevation. But if one can follow the highest level, then that is the best. Thank you.